Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of RE359, where I take old stories up narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Do Not Mock the Human, written by daeomec. Orphan held up a red mushroom. The goblin peered at it for a good 10 seconds and frowned.
Daring, can I eat this?
No, replied the human automatically.
You didn't even look at it.
I don't have to. Blue, aptly named for being blue, snatched the mushroom from her friend's hands.
Give me that,
she said before burning it to a crisp. Orphan gave a forlorn sigh.
I don't know the point of asking if you're just going to take it.
Blue continued as if he hadn't spoken.
We're not in the same part of the forest, stupid.
Don't eat anything.
The plants are all weird here.
They're nicer than the ones back home,
he grumbled.
Please don't try to eat us as much.
Don't tempt fate, said Daring, pushing the two goblins apart. Now, if you two don't behave, I won't teach you that fire spell I used on the mud beetles. Blue and Orphan immediately became quiet. They traipsed through the dense, insect-filled thicket in silence. After a few minutes, the dark, damp woods gave way to a bright clearing with dozens of butterflies. Dandelions and wildflowers dotted the clover patches, and instead of the drone of cicadas, the songs of rain finches filled the air. Stop, Daring held out a hand. Don't go any further.
Wasn't planning on it,
said Orphan. He stared at the flowers with ill-disguised suspicion. Beside him, Blue scowled at the particularly happy-looking finch.
Downright odd, I tell you.
She bared her fangs, but the bird only chirped back. You're right, Blue. Daring prodded at the lush grass with his walking stick. I doubt that this meadow came about with no interference. As if waiting for a cue, which, considering the being in question, was very likely. A high chittering laugh came from the trees. Goblins at our border, said the voice. A tall, grey-skinned creature materialized from the shadows. Its ears were long and pointed, and its large pupilless eyes blinked once. Butterflies settled on the being, covering every inch of exposed skin. Normally, I would just kill them, but I'm rather intrigued by the accompanying human. Tell me, human, have you been kidnapped by these two children? Would you like me to dispatch them for you? Blue bristled.
We ain't kids. We've been blooded, she protested. Say that again, and I'll burn you to a crisp.
Blue summoned a small flame into her hand and narrowed her eyes.
Yeah, what she said.
Orphan displayed his growing tusks. It threw back its head and laughed. Oh, how quaint. Goblins that can do magic. Are they smarter than the usual bunch? Perhaps I should look inside those heads and find out. Daring stepped forward, placing one foot on the lush grass, and the creature flinched back. Elf, his smile was too wide to be natural. Please refrain from threatening my students. The elf blinked one eye and then the next. Teaching goblins? It tilted its head at an angle that would have broken any human's neck. Do you also lecture rocks? The human sniffed dismissively. I don't need to explain myself to no braid elf. Now, do you have anything interesting to say, or shall I continue on my way? Its face twisted, eyes narrowing with disfiguring anger. But peals of laughter interrupted the elf before it could respond. 5 more elves emerged from the woods. None of them were covered in butterflies, instead preferring leaves or flowers, save for the one wearing a tunic made of shimmering spider silk. Unlike the others, its eyes were glowing, and dozens of silver braids hung from its head. Shit, mumbled Daring.
Seu Societas, you've stumbled on a batch of strangers more interesting than you,
said the silver one to the butterfly elf. The new arrival stretched its smile even further. That's not particularly difficult, considering your intelligence, but I commend you regardless. All the elves minus Sidious tittered again. The silver elf turned to the human and goblin trio, tilting its head forward in a predatory manner. Human, I am Isaiah, the high elf of the eastern forest. Who are you? And why is your magic odd? Daring grabbed the two goblins by the shoulder and drew them back. Okay, nice to meet you two. We're leaving. Bye. Stay! The trees sprouted behind them, creating a dense wall. Daring swore again. Please, said Iasasi. Join me for lunch. You'll enjoy it. Its eyes flickered to two goblins.
Your pets may join you.
Daring stared at the elf. There are so many things wrong with that statement that I don't know where to begin. How about with the pets part? Snarled Blue. The high elf ignored her.
Will you join me? Willingly, human, he sighed.
It doesn't matter what I say, huh? The elf blinked.
Basically.
Daring suddenly grinned, causing his two goblin apprentices to give him a very confused look. You know what? I accept your invitation. Let's do this shit. The elven hall was covered from the gigantic oak and decorated with enough crystals to blind the entire forest. Light scattered in dazzling patterns over the assorted guests. Orphan scowled at one particularly polished red gem and admired his growing tusks. Blue, on the other hand, was eyeing a plate of eyeball horse devore.
That one looks like it's from my Auntie Green Eye, said Blue slowly.
Daring laughed, devoid of any real humor. He took the offered glass from one of the dragonfly waiters and didn't drink it. Yeah, you really shouldn't eat anything here. The ambient murmuring died as High Elf SSCSC glided over to the three with its entourage. Unlike before, it was now clad in a dress made of rainbows, and an enormous diamond crown sat upon its head.
Human, what is your name?
Not telling, said Daring in a sing-song.
His name's Daring,
said Orphan at the same time. Synchronized, the elves all tilted their head at exactly the same angle.
That is not your name, SSCSC.
High-pitched, melodic voice suddenly went flat. Do you really think I'd give you my real name and all the power that entails? Daring swirled his untouched wine.
I have given you mine.
Oh, so SSCSC is actually your name? Daring gasped in mock surprise. Yeah, sure. I can now compel our high elf. How wonderful.
It's not a real name, huh?
Mumbled Orphan, looking away from the crystal.
That makes sense. It's so stupid that it's got to be made up.
For the first time, the elves took notice of the goblins.
What a remarkable translation spell you have over these two. I can even understand them.
One elf in the entourage leaned closer to Blue and stretched out a thin finger. Blue snapped at the finger, causing the elf to pull back. Ain't no spell, she growled. I speak human, just like you. The elves all tittered.
Human? You even taught them how to talk. How lovely.
SSCSC stepped closer to Daring.
Why, I'd rather want you to.
It suddenly said something in a sibilous, grating tongue, and the others responded in the same manner. No, thank you, said Daring icily. I'm not interested in being your concubine. The elves all fell silent again.
You speak Elvish,
squeaked one. Daring hissed a short phrase, causing them all to gasp.
How unfortunate.
SSCSC gave a drawn-out sigh.
Only yesterday no one could refuse our offer for companionship. Things were so much simpler when humanity was enslaved.
That was 400 years ago, said Daring slowly. Things have changed since then.
Oh, with our superior lifespan, time passes differently.
Its smile was sharper than its pointed teeth. He smiled back. Then it must also feel like we blew up your capital city or declared our freedom only yesterday. SSCSC blinked one eye and then the next.
Indeed, it does.
It threw back its head and laughed long and hard until each elf had joined in.
Well done.
Its gaze lingered on Daring for several moments, and its entourage made themselves scarce. The high elf made a brief humming noise. Then, with a twirl that made its light dress flash brighter, SSCSC swept away as suddenly as it arrived.
What a bunch of weirdos,
mumbled Blue. Is it true? Orphan gave Daring an odd look.
Do humans really be slaves for the elves?
Ha! Blue punched Orphan in the shoulder. Not humans were ever slaves for anyone. They'd blast anyone who tried. It's true, said Daring. We were enslaved by the elves for a bit, and before that, by the elderlings.
What is an elderling? Blue asked.
His smile, unlike every other one in the elves' hall, was genuine. Exactly. A different, melodious voice joined in. Yes, humans truly are interesting creatures. I haven't had so much fun at one of Essie's parties in decades. Daring turned to the new elf with a skull. Good to know, and no, I'm not interested in becoming your concubine either. It laughed, deep and slow. Like the other elves, it had light grey skin and large pupilless eyes. 7 braids were woven into its pale blue hair, and a robe of flickering fire hung from its shoulders. Believe me, I have no interest. I prefer my romantic partners to be at least a century within my own range. It stretched out a spindly hand. A red ring glinted in his finger. I am Isolalise. It is a pleasure. After a moment of hesitation, he shook it gingerly. I am Daring. And the names of your companions? Asked Isolalise. Blue beamed. I am Black, interrupted Orphan. He nudged her, and she growled at him before making a sound of realization. Yeah, I am Black. And, I am, Organ. It inclined its head with a smile. A pleasure as well. Daring relaxed a bit and gave his still full wineglass to the waiter, who was now an enormous hummingbird. I'm not sure if that's mutual yet, but you're already a lot better than the others I've met. Isolalise chuckled. Oh, well, not all bad. I know, he said quickly, just a tad defensive. I'm just a little on edge after that horror show of a high elf threatened to turn me into a sex slave. Daring shifted in place, adding, my favorite teacher in university was an elf, actually. She was the one who encouraged me to learn Elvish and pursue magic. Ah, is it the Ceresi that you are referring to? He blinked. Yes, sir. How did you know? There aren't many elves who have left the forests, said the elf, amused. She's quite infamous in most circles. We used to be good friends before she threw off the shackles of elven society, as she likes to put it. To this day, we still keep in touch. Isolalise inclined his head. Any friend of Sissy is a friend of mine. Please call me Aseli. Sure, it's definitely less of a mouthful, Daring said with a smirk. And when I see her, I'll tell you said hi.
I see her elf potion.
Boo piped up, looking rather bored. I got to ask, are you a guy or a girl? She huffed. I can't tell with you elves. It's worse than humans. Asasili paused and twitched its ears. I'm not entirely sure. I believe that I am female at the moment. Yes, actually, right now I am female. I changed just a few years ago. I almost forgot. Orphan gaped at her. Wait, you can switch. She raised a delicate eyebrow. You cannot. He shook his head, still wide-eyed, equally stunned. Blue glanced at Daring. Hey, can humans switch too? No, we can't. Not normally, at least, he said with a cough. Not without a lot of magical help. Speaking of which, Isolally fixed the human with an unblinking stare, pointed ears raised high. Has anyone told you that you feel strange? Magically, I mean. He laughed weakly. Well, gather round. The high elf waved its arms, and all the lights dimmed, leaving only the bright shine of the rainbow garments. You will all be honored with a tour of the great tree. Wonderful, muttered our Cicely. Daring, you must have truly impressed Issy. I haven't seen our esteemed high elf try to court someone in ages. Daring sighed. I always seem to attract the crazies. They proceeded down the fourth corridor, full of artwork. Daring continued his attempts to fend off the high elf's advances, while Blue chucked fireballs at every tapestry she saw. Unfortunately, all were fireproof, but Isolly found it quite hysterical. Are you laughing at Daring or the fireballs? Asked Orphan. Both, she chuckled. It looks like we're about ready to bite Essie's head off, and your friend's Black, on the other hand, has the most delightful way of firecasting it. Feels positively furious. This, said Essie loudly, is the treasury. Only a few mortals have ever gazed upon the splendor. Be honored and gape in awe. The carved doors at the end of the passageway swung open and revealed a room full of gold and jewels of every kind. Rubies the size of boulders lay nestled amongst heaps of gold coins and dwarf-wrought jewelry. Covering the immense wealth was a visible web of red magic. The two goblins rushed forward, mouths open with awe. Shiny! Orphan shouted. So shiny. Blue stretched out a hand before being pulled back by Daring. Oh, this is simply some human trinkets and dwarven junk, said the high elf with a sniff. I do suppose they come in handy sometimes. It glanced at Daring, who continued to stare stoically at the wealth. With a wave, the high elf caused the net of magic to disappear. Essie took off its enormous crown and tossed it into the pile. Then it grabbed a circlet of emeralds and fitted snugly around its head. If you so desire, human, you may also have a crown, it purred. No, Daring grinded its teeth. You piece of glittery shit. How many times do I have to say that before it gets through your overly pointy skull? I'm not fucking interested. Its entourage gasped and backed away. Holy shit, did you hear what the humans said? Muttered one particularly individualistic elf in the back. So funny! The high elf's ears vibrated. So funny. But I'm afraid you no longer have a choice. You will stay. Daring laughed, almost bouncing on the balls of his feet. Oh, I've been waiting for this. He held out his staff. Just try and make me. Daring glanced at the two goblins, who were currently climbing up one of the hills of gold. It's time to go. Finally, shouted Blue. About time that we got out of this place. She scrambled down, nearly tipping over a sapphire and bronze bracelet. After one longing look at the silver knife, Orphan joined her. Isaley clapped her hands. Oh, how wonderful! By the way, the exit is 3 doors down and to the left. Thanks. Daring began to gather magic, making his staff glow with green light. But before I go, I think I'll leave a parting gift in return for this lovely hospitality. Just as his SCSC began to cast a spell, Daring released his own. A blast of energy slammed into the high elf, throwing it backwards into its gaggle of following elves. Then the hallway burst to life, literally. Branches extended from the wall, creating a dense wall of vines wrapped around any elf that tried to get up. Blood-red flowers carpeted the ceiling and walls while spreading a sickly sweet perfume. Daring said, What the fuck? Despite being the only elf spared, Cecily's expression was about the same as those caught in the foliage. How in the living hell did you do that? Did you even intend to do that? He ate a god, explained Orphan. I think it's a side effect. Hey, what do you think will happen if Daring eats an elf? Blue mused. I don't want to find out. Daring looked a little pale at the thought. We really should go. He turned, hesitating at the last moment, to look at Cecily. Will you be all right? I don't want you to get into trouble because of us. You can come with us, Orphan added. Then you don't got to deal with those stupid elves no more. She chuckled. I'll be fine. I've survived worse before. Cecily pulled her ring and pressed it in Daring's hand. Call me if you need me, yes. Now hurry. If you linger any longer, I might be tempted to join you. Daring sent another quick spell at an elf who attempted to throw a lightning bolt, and the indoor forest grew thicker as carnivorous plants sprouted from the vines. Blue was laughing maniacally in the middle of the bonfire while Orphan was pummeling the head of an elf dangling from a vine. If you're sure, said Daring, thanks again for your help. And thank you for the entertainment. With that, the human and the goblin friends ran down the hall, casting fireballs, punching elves, and creating enough parasitic plants to tear apart the great tree, and made their escape. Once they were safely away from elf territory, Daring slowed down their pace. That was the best day ever, crowed Blue. We gotta go there again. Daring laughed. Well, I don't deny it was fun to punch those smug bastards in the face.
Yeah, that was great, Orphan frowned. But I don't know if we can go back. They probably don't want to see us after that, especially after what Daring did.
I don't doubt it. Daring was opening and closing his green hand, examining each individual finger as if it held the secrets of the universe, or at least his unexpected green thumb. Yeah, Blue sighed, but at least I got a bad bracelet. And I got that knife and rock. Orphan playfully poked Daring. You got a ring too. Daring stopped dead in his tracks. What?
You know that ring that Cecily, the nice elf lady gave you? You're wearing it right now.
No, that's not what I meant. His eyes narrowed. What's this about a bracelet, knife, and rock? Blue held out a sapphire bracelet and beamed.
I took it from the treasury. Me too.
Orphan drew a copper knife from his belt.
I thought it would be enchanted, like the one you gave me. I didn't get the silver one, but...
You stole from the elves, shouted Daring.
Well, yeah.
Blue rubbed her ears. If they wanted to keep it, I shouldn't have been dumb. You can't just steal from people.
We didn't steal from people,
exclaimed Orphan patiently.
We stole from elves. Besides, you blew up their tree. I don't think stealing is going to be why they hate us.
Daring pinched the bridge of his nose and counted to 10. All right, fine. You both stole 2 very expensive magical artifacts. You're not supposed to do that. But I'll let it slide just this once, he sighed. At the very least, they'll be useful.
So they are magic.
Orphan and Blue exchanged grins and punches. Daring frowned. Wait, didn't you say something about a rock?
Yeah.
Orphan pulled out a round stone from his pouch. Dull red markings were etched into the grey exterior.
It's really warm and pretty.
Daring took it. He turned it over in his hands, pressed a spark of magic to its surface, and brought it close to his eyes. The red markings were now softly glowing. Slowly, he sunk to the floor. Fuck! Daring handed the stone back to Orphan and cradled his head in his hands. That's a fucking dragon's egg.
Can we eat it?
Asked Orphan. Daring didn't respond.
I guess not, said Blue.
But if we watch it, maybe the egg will hatch, she grinned. I've always wanted a pet. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.